to start these out, and these guys have heard this question, but there's always some real interesting answers, and I've got to ask it to you a little different way. Being that we're in the Hall of Fame, you think about all the history that's here. In addition to your father, who were the guys that you looked up the most to, that you admired or wanted to be like or followed growing up? Because I know your dad has got to be at the top of the list. I have to say, in addition to your dad, who were the guys that were Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s heroes growing up?
I always liked Jimmy Means a lot. He was a driver and now is a car owner in the sport. His son was a friend of mine, so when we palled around the racetrack together every weekend, so I spent some time around Jimmy and watched Jimmy do what he did. And I just admired how hard he worked and how dedicated he was to what he was doing. Kelly Yarborough was a guy that I thought a lot of, and admired how he carried himself around the racetrack and what he, how he, just handled his business. And that was about it. I thought David Pearson was pretty cool, but I didn't really know him enough, or get to know him well enough as a driver. But watching old films and old footage and just reading and stuff like that, he seems like a interesting character.
When you seem to, on that same subject, when you did the Back in the Day show, you seem to really enjoy and get into the history of the sport.
Yeah, I do. I'm sort of mystified on how the cars have changed over the years, how much they've changed, and it really is interesting for me to look back at some of the older machines and wonder as a driver, how they drove and how they went around the racetrack and what those cars felt like when you raced with them compared to what we have today. So I wish that if I could go back in time, I could race in the 70s with the old Chargers and the old Oldsmobiles and stuff like that. Would be a lot of fun to, I think, be a part of. And I think the sport was different then and simpler in a lot of ways. But I definitely enjoy the history a lot.
I had some questions from our fans.
All right back here.
Hi, Dale. I'm so excited to meet you. I traveled from Maryland to bring my dad to see you, and my question is, would you be so kind to autograph his hat?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, next question. Anybody? All right, young man right here.
My name's Justin. Wait a minute. My name's Josh Jordan. I'm your biggest fan. Wait a minute.
Thank you.
All right.
I think there's probably a lot of biggest fans in here, but that's okay.
Hi.
Howdy.
This is like the greatest day of my life. Okay, you know how there's a mechanical bull at Whiskey River?
Yeah.
Have you ridden it? And most importantly, did you stay on?
Yeah, I didn't ride the one at Whiskey River, but there used to be an old bar in Charlotte called the Palomino, and rode that one time, and I didn't stay on it either. But they're pretty fun. I don't know, they're a good time. Mechanical bulls are. I've been on one or two.
I know somebody over there that's ridden one at Whiskey River. No, that's you, Todd. True story, when the construction crew finished building the Hall of Fame, and Todd Joyce is here, he was the construction manager for the Nascar Hall of Fame. And they finished, they went out that night, had a little bit of drink or two, party, ended up at Whiskey River. That's where they actually celebrated finishing the Nascar Hall of Fame at Whiskey River, and drugged me over there kicking and screaming with them. And we tried the bull a time or two. The bull won.
Yeah, it's supposed to win. Yeah.
It did.
I would love to have seen you on that bull.
You wouldn't have seen me on it long, but we had fun.
Hi Dale, my question for you is, what is your most unusual or memorable experience with the NASCAR fan?
Man, I don't know. I met a fan of mine today. She's 90 years old.
Yeah, she's right here.
There she is. She was pretty excited. That was a lot of fun. And But we have, we have a really passionate fan base, and they're very vocal, and it's great because you get to really sort of have a sense of what they're thinking and how they feel about what you're doing or what you've been doing. They like to tell you what they want you to do and what they hope to see you do, and that's good. You gotta have an idea of really what your fans are thinking and how they feel about what you got going on, and I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the relationship, and it's been a big part of molding who I am today, and the race car driver I've been and want to become.
Good. Got another one back here?
I was just wondering, to be fit to drive the car, how much you have to work out in the gym through the season and in your off season.
It's not that tough, we're kind of sitting on our butts and got power steering in the car. As long as the power steering don't go out, you're in pretty good shape. But one of the toughest parts, the only part that I think you really have to pay really true attention to is the hydration part. We sweat a lot, and it's really warm in the cars. The temperatures are 120 to 130 degrees in the cars, and so you do sweat a lot. So staying hydrated is really, really important during the week. Rehydrating on Monday, all night Sunday night if you can, and just trying to keep a good focus on that even throughout the rest of the week, so that when the race comes around you're ready to go. Because when you don't hydrate well enough, you can run into a lot of problems late in the race with your focus and your attention.
Okay. I wondered what other sports you like besides racing. Football, basketball, what team?
I love football. The Washington Redskins fan. And, my mother was, when I was growing up, there wasn't, we didn't have the Panthers around here. So it was either Atlanta or Washington. And my mom was living in Norfolk at the time, and there was always Redskins gear around town, or I'd get a uniform for a shirt or something for Christmas. So I just became a Washington Redskins fan at a very young age. And I played soccer in high school and lettered in high school for our soccer team. And me and my friends, we play in a basketball league twice a year and a softball league.
Pretty active. Back here, got another question.
Hey, Gail. I asked Brad, I want to ask you, how do you feel about the fuel injection, and do you think it'll affect when you're on the super speedways? Because are they going to have like a restrictor plate for that, or?
Yeah, I'm not sure how they'll do that. They'll, use the computer itself to limit, the fuel we're getting from the carburetor or the fuel injection at the plate tracks to sort of control the speed there. But from my first knowledge, when they tested at Talladega, that the cars were actually slower with the fuel injection than they expected. So that's actually a good thing, because they need to strip the cars away. As far as the bodies go, to speed them back up. They're kind of restricted with the drag on the spoiler and things like that. They need to undo those things. I drove the fuel injection car at Charlotte and at Phoenix, and it felt identical to the carbureted car. As far as throttle response, how the car went down the straightaway and accelerated, how it felt when I lifted off the throttle was all very similar.
Right.
June, I watched you on your hunting show. You were on there a couple years last year. Did you get to go hunting anymore this year?
I did. I went to Missouri last week, and I didn't have any luck. It was too warm. It was about 65 degrees, and the deer aren't run yet. So we didn't. We saw some deer, but no shooters, and hopefully get the opportunity to go back at least once or twice before the end of the season.
Back here.
Hey, Dale, I know you spend a lot of time in Mooresville. Have you ever been to the Pit indoor go-kart racing track?
I haven't. No, sir. I went to the one here in Charlotte, and that was several years ago. And I've been to F1 Boston a time or two, and I enjoy it. I do, but it's rare we have the opportunity to be able to do this kind of things.
For you? Question? I really hate to do this, but could you please sign this birthday card
Sure.
for my mom?
Of course.
She loves you as much as this lady does. Probably more.
I'll handle it.
Question up here.
So you've come pretty close to Charlotte the last couple of years, minus
a couple gunners, but 08 you led most laps, you were lap ahead of everybody pretty much, blue tire. Last year, or last race, last 600, you were leading, going in 4, ran out of gas. Both of those races won by cars that were sponsored by Budweiser. Are you superstitious?
No, not really. I'm not really that superstitious. I mean, I believe in the typical things that your parents or your family teaches you when you grow up, when you're growing up about breaking mirrors and stuff like that, but nothing else.
Green used to be a really big deal.
Yeah.
Was that something your dad was superstitious about? You're driving a green car now? Because it started to kind of go away with the Mountain Dew car.
Yeah, I don't think Dad was that superstitious about it, but I know I've heard through my grandmother that Ralph Earnhardt was pretty superstitious about the color green and peanuts and stuff like that. You can't, they say in racing you're not supposed to eat peanuts around the race cars, so I don't know why, but apparently at Concord Motor Speedway dirt track one night he chased some fella off with a gun for eating peanuts around his race car.
If our historian's here, he can tell us, we'll call Buzz up here in a little bit. He can tell us the history of peanuts and why they're, I've heard the story, but I can't remember. We got another one back here.
Hey Dale, my little brother here is a big fan of yours. He watches you almost every single day. And my question for you was, whenever you're racing, do you ever feel your father watching over you, or maybe your father just, you feel your father's spirit when you're driving the car?
I think so. You know, when I think that you kind of carry that with you all the time. Everything you do, you always think about what they would think about what you're doing before you do it. So like if I make a decision or need to make a decision on something, I'll sort of bank on maybe what he taught me or what he talked about, or had we ever discussed this before, and try to make the right decision with his help, you know. And so, and I do feel like that, you know, his spirit sort of rides with me in the race car, keeps me safe, and I think that's fair to feel that way. I think it's my right to feel that way, and I feel like, you know, he'd be happy with everything going on and all those good things, but I definitely, you know, think that, you know, his spirit's, you know, sort of keeps you safe.
Hi, Dale. We're very good fans of yours. We wonder what would we have to do to get our picture taken with you? Because today's our wedding anniversary.
I'm ready. Whenever you're ready. Come on over here.
Do you have a question?
I've got a non-personal question. I'm just thinking maybe you from a race car driver's perspective can help me understand what's going on. I drive a manual transmission car. This past weekend, I had to slam on the brakes because some fool was in front of me and they slammed on the brakes. And I instinctively pushed in the clutch so I wouldn't stall the car. Then I was watching the race and I saw Jimmy Johnson spin out, and as soon as he came to a stop, he had to reach over and fire the car back up. And then I got to thinking, I see that all the time. All the time, the guys spin out, stall the car. Sometimes the car don't want to start back up. And I'm thinking, you have to pit the car. Surely you know there's a clutch pedal there. Is there something mechanical with the car that I don't quite understand that causes it to stall, or are the guys just forgetting to push in the clutch?
Sometimes guys are forgetting to push in the clutch, but most times people aren't matching the clutch when they're spinning out. They're just worried about saving the car or controlling where the car is spinning. But also, we run the cars so lean, where they run the floats in the carburetor to be able to get as good a gas mileage as we can. Any sort of shaking or jostling of the carburetor will stall the engine. Like driving it around in the garage kind of erratically can make the engine stall. And so spinning out sometimes will just stall the engine because it starts with fuel.
Hi Dale. I know that there's another generation coming up of racers, and I was wondering how involved are you in Carson's career?
I'm pretty involved in it, not as much as she probably wishes I would. I don't go to all the races because sometimes we're having our basketball league, but they race year-round. They're going to run all winter over at Millbridge on 152, and you know, we got I helped get a couple other people involved in racing the same type of cars as her, some of her friends her age, and you know, it matters to her a lot that I know what's going on and I am a part of it. And I think Kennedy's actually itching to get going too. So she's rather young, in my opinion, but they're probably going to start her as soon as she's ready to go. And my sister is about to have a little boy too, and I'm sure he's going to want to drive race cars too. So I'm glad I've been saving all this money all these years. So I'll have something to spend it on.
What do they call you? What do your nieces call you?
Uncle Dale.
Uncle Dale?
Yeah.
Another question.
What's up, Dale?
How you doing? Thank you.
I just wanted to know, well, I have two questions. Is this cool with you?
Sure.
First one is, what's the best way to start a racing career for somebody my age, for like a 16-year-old? And who you think will win in a one-on-one race between you or Jimmy Johnson?
One-on-one? Well, Jimmy's got the record right now. He's been whooping me, but it depends, man, where the racetrack is or what it is, but I'm sure he'd win his share. He's a good competitor and a good friend of mine, and you know, he'd be tough to beat. Ben, he's won 5 championships in a row, and I don't think that's something that we'll see in our lifetime again. But you know, to start a racing career is kind of tough. You need to be able to go around to your local racetracks and involve yourself, whether it be you know, just volunteering to help someone work on someone's race car. You sort of got to work your way in there best you can, and wedge yourself into an opportunity to be able to get behind the wheel eventually at some point and show somebody, you know, what you're capable of. And you just got to believe in yourself too. You can't really have any doubts. You've got to believe in your career and your opportunities and make the best of them. But starting off at the local track, man, supporting your local track, going down there and being a part of what's going on, and volunteering to work on cars and be a part of, you know, preparing the cars and what have you during the week. If you get those opportunities, I'd definitely take them.
And I think it's not unlike other careers. You've got to make your opportunities, because, you know, folks see, it doesn't matter whether it's a country music singer or a race car driver, you see them at the Sprint Cup level and you don't know what they have done to get there. And I remember, you know, your dad helped you get started in racing by letting you work on race cars, not by giving you race cars. And, you know, you had to learn how to work on your crew chief.
I got to learn how to, I got to work on the cars only because I shoveled a horse barn out. And if I didn't shovel out the horse barn, I didn't get to work on cars, and thus I didn't get to learn how to, you know, how they were built. And I probably wouldn't be worth much as a race car driver if I didn't know much about cars to begin with.
And your crew chief started, as I recall, sweeping floors at Hendrick Motorsports by Steve Tart. So again, you know, the people that you see at the level they're at, they start at a level at the entry level, and Steve McCart's another example that he started sweeping floors.
He's a perfect example of that, you know, to get to where he is. He didn't come in there with any knowledge other than how to push a broom, and that's where, you know, he's all the way up at the crew chief level now.
Other questions back here?
Hey Dale, how you doing?
Good.
Me and my dad are visiting here from Maryland, and here in Mooresville, and I want to know where you and the Dirty Mo Posse like to go hang out.
I got a bar just about 2 blocks from here called Whiskey River, and we hang out there a lot, and that's pretty much it. They're the house. I got a pretty nice little piece of property, and I like to spend a lot of time there. We travel so much throughout the year. People ask me what I'm going to do in my off season. I like to stay home because we travel so much throughout the year. It's just good to be around family too during the holidays.
Hey. I was wondering, today's my birthday, if I can get a picture with you.
Sure.
Also, I was wondering if you have any weird pre-race rituals that you do.
Yeah, I don't.
Do you have any special meals that you try to eat?
There's nothing strange about it. I just get up in the morning and put my clothes on and go to work.
Hey Dale, my mom's birthday tomorrow. Could she get a picture with you since she's a really big fan? And can you wish her a happy birthday?
Happy birthday.
Other questions?
Hi Dale, we were actually here for a wedding on Friday, and we planned our trip to Myrtle Beach. We're from Minnesota. We flew in this morning, and just found out a couple weeks ago that you just so happened to be here on the day that we're here. And you actually autographed my husband's arm a couple years ago, and he got it tattooed. And he's just your biggest fan. Our whole level of our house is dedicated to you. And actually, he's in the back and would love a picture. And I hate to ask, but he's got your tattoo on his arm.
Sure.
So, and I also want to know, what do you do during the week when you're not racing or in the garage?
Oh, well, I just kind of, hang out at the house. I like to play video games. I've been playing Battlefield 3 the last month or so. It's a pretty cool game that came out. But I make a lot of phone calls, talking to my sister about the nationwide teams and what's going on with that. Talking to Tony Jr. and we have a call in every Tuesday with all the crew chiefs and drivers at Hendrick that we do. And we sort of go over what happened last weekend and what we're going to do the next week. And, just got to sort of keep everything moving. It ain't much to it, though. I mean, I feel like I don't work too hard.
Okay, got time for a couple more questions, and then